fellow writers. Today I'm going to be talking about how we can use cups to edit our writing. When I say cups, I don't mean a cup like something you drink out of. I'm talking about a strategy here. All right. So if we think about some of the last things we've been doing before break, we've really been rereading our work, making sure that we have all the details we need in our writing, which is cool. It's great. It's awesome. But that's not the only thing that our writing needs to have to be high quality, grade level work. We also need to make sure that our writing has the correct punctuation, correct spelling, correct usage of words, capitalization. Do you see where I'm going here? I'm mixing it up a little bit, but I'm talking about cups. I am talking about all the different things that we need to focus on when editing our writing. So let me share my screen with you here and kind of give you the visual that you need to understand what I mean when I say cups. So cups is an editing checklist method you can use. Okay. So we read for capitalization, for usage, for punctuation, and for spelling. That means when you're editing your writing, you're going to be rereading it 4 times because we know we don't want to focus on it all at once. We're never going to do our work correctly if we do that. So we're focusing on one thing at a time. So I'm going to kind of show you today and get you thinking about how to reread, focusing just on capitalization. Zoom in here. Take a look at this. You need to capitalize proper nouns. Proper nouns, such as names of people, places, or things, possibly. Right? Becky, if that's the character, that's her name. The B in Becky needs to be capitalized. If you are talking about your people going to the Eiffel Tower, that is this very specific proper name of that place. It's not just any old tower. It's the Eiffel Tower. That's its name. It needs to be capitalized. The biggest thing that I want you to understand, a lot of you guys do this all the time. The first letter of every sentence needs to be capital. Capitalize it. All right? Just capitalize it. So reread your story today, and you're going to focus on one reread just on the C, capitalization. These are some hints to remind you, okay? This will be posted for you to review as well if you need it. Usage. That one's a little bit different. Do your sentences have a subject and a verb, and do you use conjunctions for items in a list? I love these boxes here. They're giving you example. So how are you using these words in a sentence? Are you building sentences that are actually making sense here? So the wild animal, that sentence has a subject, it has no verb. It's not like wild animal, what? The wild animal roams around looking for food. Oh yeah. Take a look at this one. Animals can be dangerous. You should practice safety. Those are two totally separate ideas. Animals are dangerous, cool. You should practice safety. What does that have to do with the animals being dangerous? You know what? Those sentences need to be split. Usage is going to be difficult. Here's my recommendation. Reread it sentence by sentence. Sometimes I even tell people for usage to reread your essay backwards because you're focusing on just making sure if I read this sentence by itself, would it make sense? Or does it sound like animals can be dangerous? You should practice safety. Okay. Then read number 3 is all about punctuation. Do all of your sentences have a period, exclamation point, or question mark? And if you're making a list, are you using commas to separate ideas? That's another read through. Your final read through is to check for spelling. You guys all have quick word books. You can use an online dictionary. You can use spell check. Here's another great tip, backward spell check. Reading and looking at your work from the bottom backwards. Sometimes if you're reading it in a sentence, you're so focused on reading the sentence, you're not actually looking at the words individually. So when I'm editing, I'm always for things like spelling and for things like usage, reading it backwards is super helpful. Okay. But really check in on your spelling, especially because sometimes spell check's not going to catch everything. You might spell a word correctly, but it doesn't make sense in that sentence. But hopefully you caught that when you read for usage way up above. So let me give you some tips and some tricks on how to like wrap your head around this. My first tip and trick is to look at a mentor text. Take a look at like a short picture book. Yeah. And just kind of look through like, how is this author using punctuation? What are their sentences looking like? How are they using dialogue? Right? So take a minute and look through some books that you have around your house to help you with that. My second tip, which I kind of already gave you, is for some of these, it's actually super helpful to read your writing backwards. I don't mean like try to make it make sense backwards, but like start at the last sentence, read it for usage, then go to the sentence before that, read it for usage, okay? Later on, we will be doing some peer reviewing, but I want to make sure that your peer looks at your writing and can really focus on some very specific things, not necessarily these. So you're going to take some time today to really practice that. If you would like to stick around with me, I'm going to go through an essay that needs some work. And you can kind of go along with me and see how we can fix this. So this one's all about something that we saw after school. It's super short. This is meant to be short just to show you for practice. But just to give you an example of what this process looks like, go in order and start just with capitalization. I am just reading this, making sure I have capitalized the beginning of my sentences and any proper nouns. You would not believe what I saw when I walked through the back door yesterday. After school, I saw my mom doing cartwheels in the living room. There's some other stuff in there, but I'm just focusing on capitalization. That was not at all my baby sister swinging on the ceiling fan like a monkey. My dog was walking around on two legs. Okay, so it started with capital, check. It said my dog, it said my sister, but it did not give them names, so we're good. At the time, I thought it could not get any weirder. Boy, was I wrong. My brother busted into the room throwing paint everywhere. Capital, okay. Then my dad rolled in the room on a unicycle and I was incredibly confused and it was like my entire family ate too much sugar. Capitalized at the beginning. I'm like noticing these periods and I'm like capital. To say it was a wild afternoon would be an understatement. All right, so capitalization's good. It's done. Awesome. When I think about my checklist, the next thing I need to do is usage. Am I using the right words in my sentences? Is one part. Am I properly using subjects and verbs and I'm not having sentences that are too short, missing things? So you would not believe what I saw when I walked through the back door yesterday after school. I saw my mom doing cartwheels in the living room. So I'm noticing two subjects, two verbs. Like you would not believe what I saw when I walked through the back door yesterday after school. Period. I is always capitalized, so that's just coincidentally ready. I saw my mom doing cartwheels in the living room. Okay. Now remember, if this is like you're not catching anything, try reading it backwards. To say it was a wild afternoon would be an understatement. Okay. They're saying it and then they're giving a verb what it would be. Okay. Then my dad rolled into the room on a unicycle and I was incredibly confused and it was like my entire family ate too much sugar. All right, there's a lot going on here. I could probably break this up a little bit. Then my dad rolled into the room on a unicycle and I was incredibly confused and it was, I'm going to exclamation point this and I'm going to say, it was like my family ate too much sugar. I think that makes a little bit more sense. It was like my entire family ate too much sugar. Oh, that does not make sense. Does not need that at all. I'm going to make that edit and continue working backwards on my sentences. My brother busted into the room throwing paint everywhere. Sounds good. Boy, was I wrong. All right, that's a shorter one, but like it's really just going, I think it makes sense when I think about the context of the story. At the time, I thought it could not get any weirder. Sometimes when I see things that are like weird, weirder, weirdest, and I'm not totally sure, when in doubt, more it out. More weird. Could not get any more weird. All right, and I'm going to keep working backwards. Then I'm going to focus on punctuation, just making sure I have periods in the right spaces. Knowing that when you add a period, exclamation point, or question mark, it's period, space, then continue typing, okay? You also should not have period and then just start a next sentence. Add your period, hit the space bar, then do your next sentence, and then go back for spelling. Spelling, I cannot stress enough to make sure that you are reading it backwards. Read it backwards, check it in here. So this is that really cool thing where I'm like, weirder, more weird, and this one gave me that little squiggly, and it's like, nah, it's weirder. You're good. Love that. Check for those squigglies also. So that's what you're doing today. We're not necessarily focusing on revising, making sure that we have all the details we need. We're making sure that the grammar in our work is right. Because when we continue moving forward in our writing, you're going to have some classmates really dive into your writing and help support you and help you make sure that it's great before we start publishing. All right. Happy Cups Day.